Hey there, and in this video we are going to be discussing the actual RP value of the World's Pass and whether or not you in particular should get it. So let's get started. First, the World's Pass itself costs 1650 RP, and what you directly get with it are 4 championship orbs and 200 tokens. So in order to calculate the RP value of one orb, we are going to use the store. For 250 RP, what you get is an orb plus 20 world's tokens. If you decide to get yourself the orb directly with tokens instead, it costs 300 of them, which means that, let me open this, I did the math, and one orb is worth 234 RP, and therefore the 4 orbs of the pass are worth a total of 936 RP. Right, so far so good. Now with the 200 tokens that you have left, you can get 2/3 of an orb, which is basically this. Which is another 157. So just by buying the pass, you get the value of 936 plus 157. So you start with 1093 RP, right when you get yourself the World's Pass. Now let's go on to what other perks this pass gives. So first, for every World's Pass first win of the day, you get, I think it was 15 tokens. Yeah, this guy did the math, let's just use this. So if you yes, it's 15 tokens. If you have all 54 daily wins with the pass, this is an additional 810 tokens. And 810 tokens, this is pretty nice. So if you play at least 1 win every day, which is on an average 2 games per day, you are going to get another 810 tokens just from that. So assuming that you play 2 games per day, there is also another reward for each of those games. For every match based on your performance grade, the map mode, and whether you solve victory or defeat, you get additional tokens. And it is as follows. This is basically the chart. So assuming that you get on an average this, and you win half of the time, you would be getting 8 additional tokens for every Summoner's Rift game you play. If you tend to perform better than the average, then you might be able to average 10, but that's not so easy. So let's go with 8. So if you play those 2 games per day, you are going to get another 16 tokens per day for those 54 days, which is a total of another 864 tokens. Combining this, you have a total of 1674 tokens. With 2 games per day, 1 of them win. And those tokens are enough for a bit more than 5 orbs So 5 multiplied by 234. So this is roughly 1200 RP value additional in the form of orbs. Now, there are also other things that can be used to evaluate the tokens, and this is why I'm not already tying them like directly to IRP with a formula, but we are going to get to that in a second after combining those. So basically with 1093 RP from the start, an additional 1200, you get 2293 RP with the World's Pass, and 2 games per day is pretty reasonable, but if you play another 3 games per day with an average of 8 tokens, that's 24 for the 54 days. This is another 1200 tokens or 4 orbs. And now let's get onto the other stuff. So first we have the golden chromas. Chromas normally cost 290 RP. But the thing with those chromas is that they are sort of exclusive, so I wouldn't just directly calculate the value of tokens based on them. Borders, they are sort of exclusive stuff also. Icons are usually 250 RP, so those things are pretty worth it if you play the champ. A random champion shard is not normally sold for RP anymore, but and it was different in the past system, so let's not just convert it. And if you calculate it with key fragments, it's basically an entire key is 75 tokens, otherwise it is 125 RP. So for general purposes, tying their value to orbs is, in my opinion, the most accurate. And now let's get into why I think that. So you see those 6 champions with their borders, their icons, all this nice stuff. Now, you probably don't play more than, let's say, 2 of them. Of course, you might be that guy who has a champion for every role and for every matchup, but most people, at least in my opinion, don't. So you probably play around 2 of those guys. Now, the free missions grant either 360 or 400 tokens, based on what I read here. So I cannot really be 100% sure, but let's say that with free stuff, you can get yourself one of the chromas, most likely. And what also needs to be mentioned is that while those tokens are a very small amount compared to what you get with the pass, those huge amounts of tokens, the missions, they are quite serious. That right here, that's plenty of missions. And in order to complete them, you're most likely going to have this commitment at the very least, probably more. So with keeping the orb value in mind, let's also calculate it with 5 games per day, because I started doing that, but then I stopped, so let's do it. The additional 3 additional games per day, on an average 8 tokens, that's 24 by 54, another 1296 tokens. Those are enough to get you a bit more than 4 orbs, and those 4 orbs, roughly 950 RP for those 3 additional games per day, if you play them every day. And with 5 games per day, and with 5 games per day, you're also much more likely to manage to get that first win of the day every day. You are going to get a total of 3,243 RP. If you play even more games per day, this gets even more. But for the average League of Legends player, 5 is like a high enough amount, so I am not going to be doing the math for more right now. Now let's turn those numbers into something more understandable. Basically, we are going to have 3 categories. The pass itself, pass with 2 games per day, one of them win, and pass with 5 games per day. So the pass itself is 1093, which is 67%, actually, no, it's just 66% value by itself. If you play 2 games per day, that gets to this amount of RP, and it gets 139% value. This is definitely worth it if you are into random drops, and with 5 games per day, this gets to the beautiful number of almost 200% value. (197% value. Now keep in mind that the amount of stuff you can get with those tokens is a lot more limited than the amount of stuff you can get with actual RP. So the conclusion is going to be this: if you play League regularly and you are into random loot and hextech crafting, go for it. It's more than worth it, and it's much better than buying chest bundles. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to leave a like. And also, if you want to start streaming, I would recommend trying Streamlabs OBS with the link in the description. By using that link to install the program, you also directly support the channel. And yeah, again, thanks for watching, have a nice day, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.